Alrighty, guys, we're hitting at 65% in our last 24 NFL tier package bets on my website. But before we get into some more of that, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the video here today for NFL Week 7. My name is Brock Page, and I've been doing sports picks for free right here on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. Once again, guys, we're hitting at 65% in our last 24 NFL tier package bets on that site. Now, I'll include a link in the description section below so you can see which one of these picks on this video that I'm actually betting on personally. I also have over 605 members who are signed up and active on my website right now. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to start off with the Saints at the Cardinals, 8:15 Thursday night. Arizona's -1.5 at home, totals 45. Now, the Cards lost 3 out of their last 4, and they average only 12 points a game in those losses. And aside from some bad offensive play, their defense is also giving up 24 points a game. Now, they're facing a New Orleans squad who has little issue moving the football. The Saints are actually in the top 5 in the league in total yards per contest. When it comes to the total in this one, New Orleans saw unders against the likes of Carolina and Tampa Bay. Meanwhile, Arizona saw their last 5 straight fall under the line as well. I'm going to lean toward New Orleans plus 1.5, under 45. Next matchup, it is going to be Giants at the Jaguars, 1 o'clock Sunday. Jacksonville's -3 at home, totals 42.5. Now, Jacksonville lost their last 3 straight, and they failed to cover the point spread in all of those losses. They're facing a 5-1 Giants team on the other side of things, who actually failed to cover the point spread only 1 time this year. And aside from allowing only 18 points a game, the Giants are also one of the better running football teams on the offensive side of the ball. They're averaging over 160 yards a game on the ground. When it comes to the number, the G-men are 5-1 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, Jacksonville saw unders against the likes of Houston and Indianapolis. I'm going to lean toward the G-men +3, keeping this one close, under 42.5. Next matchup, Buccaneers at the Panthers, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Tampa Bay's -10.5 on the road, totals 41. Now, in my opinion, this number is just way too big. Not only are the Bucs on the road in a divisional game, they did fail to cover the point spread in their last 4 straight. A lot of factors, not a good covering team, divisional contest on the road, just not playing very good football right now. They've also done very little to establish a proper run game this year. The Bucs are rushing for fewer yards per contest than any other club in the league. Now, they're facing a Carolina defense who's led by Shaq Thompson and Xavier Woods. These guys have combined for nearly 75 tackles between the two of them. When it comes to the total, 4 out of Carolina's last 5 fell under the line. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay's 5-1 to the under for the entire year themselves. I'm going to lean toward Carolina +10.5, under 41. Next ball game, Lions at the Cowboys, 1 o'clock Eastern start time. Dallas is -7 at home, totals 48.5. Now, the Cowboys are playing some really tough defense this season. They're allowing just 16 points a game, and they rank in the top 5 in fewest pass yards allowed. They're facing a Detroit defense on the other side of things who really can't stop anything. These guys are giving up more yards a game on the ground than any other club in the NFL. And, of course, with the two-headed monster of Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, well, could be a really big day for the Cowboys on the ground. Now, total-wise, Dallas saw 2 out of their last 4 get over the posted total. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, the Lions are 4-1 to the over in their last 5 themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Dallas -7, over 48.5. Next matchup, Browns at the Ravens, 1 o'clock Sunday. Baltimore is the 6.5-point favorite at home, totals 46 points. And I'll tell you what, for a team laying a touchdown in this spot here, I do really think the Ravens are going to have trouble on defense. They haven't been really that great this year defensively. They're allowing 24 points a game, and they're actually giving up more total yards a game than most clubs in the AFC right now. They're also facing a Cleveland offense who has the #1 rushing attack in the game. Nick Chubb is averaging nearly 110 yards per contest on the ground, and he's scored 7 rushing touchdowns already. When it comes to the scoring, Cleveland's 5-1 to the over thus far in the season. Meanwhile, Baltimore saw overs against the likes of New England and Miami. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland plus 6.5, over 46. Next ball game, it is going to be Falcons at the Bengals, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Cincinnati's -7, totals 47. And even though the Bengals are throwing it well, the Falcons are the best covering team in professional football. These guys are 6-0 against the number this year, and they're actually doing a pretty terrific job of running the football. The Falcons are actually in the top 3 in the league right now in rush yards per game. Now they're facing a Cincy team on the other side of things who's actually done very little to establish the run themselves. These guys are gaining only 89 yards a game on the ground. They also continue to do a poor job of protecting Joey B. You got to protect your precious cargo because he's been sacked 21 times already this year. Now, when it comes to the total, since he's 5-1 to the under thus far in the season, meanwhile, on the other side of things, the Falcons saw their last 3 straight all stay under the total themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Atlanta plus 7, under 47. Next matchup, it is going to be Colts at the Titans, 1 o'clock East. Tennessee's -3 at Nissan Stadium, totals 42.5. And for a team being favored by a field goal here, I'll tell you what, the Titans have really struggled moving the sticks. They're in the bottom 3 in the league in total yards per game. And in addition to that, defensively, they're allowing more passing yards a game than any other team in the NFL. I know a lot of people aren't thinking about that or don't really know that, but yeah, these guys have a terrible pass defense right now. Now they're facing an India team on the other side of things who loves to throw the football. Matt Ryan's 2nd in the NFL in passing yards right now. Meanwhile, defensively, the Colts are in the top 10 in fewest yards allowed. When it comes to the total, Indy's 5-1 to the under thus far in the year. Meanwhile, the Titans saw their last 2 straight stay under the total. I'm going to lean toward Indy plus 3, under 42.5. Next ball game, Packers at the Commanders, 1 o'clock Sunday in Landover. Now, Green Bay is the 5.5-point favorite on the road here. Totals 41. And I tell you what, this Green Bay defense should be fairly dominant against Washington's backup. They're already leading the entire league in pass defense, and I'm referring to the Packers. Very good pass defense, very tough to throw the ball against them. Rashawn Gary, he's also 2nd in the league in sacks with 6 of them. Green Bay's taking on a Commanders team on the other side of things who continues to find ways to lose, and they don't cover either. They're just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. Of course, Carson Wentz, he's going to be out for a little bit over a month here. Might be a good thing for him. I don't know. But they do have a tough time getting it into the end zone. They're averaging just 17 points a game, and that was with starting quarterback Carson Wentz. Now, total-wise, the Commanders saw their last 4 straight fall under the line. No real surprise there. Meanwhile, Green Bay is 4-2 to the under for the entire season themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Packers, -5.5, under 41. Next ball game, it is going to be Jets at the Broncos, 4:05 Eastern start time. Denver's -3, totals 40.5. Now, the Broncos have lost their last 3 straight, and they're scoring fewer points a game than any other club in the league. They're facing a Jet squad who's in the top 10 in the NFL in scoring. Meanwhile, defensively, they're giving up fewer yards a game than most clubs in the AFC. Now, right now, the Jets are on a 3-game winning streak, and when it comes to the point spread, they covered the number in 4 out of their last 5. Now, scoring-wise, the Jets saw overs against the likes of Miami, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland. They're actually 3-2 to the over in their last 5. I'm going to lean toward the Jets, +3, over 40.5. Next ball game, Texans at the Raiders, 4:05 Eastern kickoff. Las Vegas is -7 at home, totals 45. Now, the Raiders should be able to cover this number. They covered in their last 2 straight. And in addition to that, they're having little issue getting on the scoreboard. They're actually in the top 5 in the AFC in total points per contest. They're facing a Houston defense on the other side of things who allows more yards per game than most clubs in the entire league. When it comes to offensive production, these guys are actually in the bottom 3 in total yards per contest. And when it comes to the number, 3 out of Houston's last 5 did stay under the total. Unders against the likes of Jacksonville, Denver, and Indianapolis. I'm going to lean toward the Raiders, -7, under 45. Next matchup, Chiefs at the Niners, 425 East. Kansas City's -3.5, totals 48. And even though the Chiefs are favored on the road here, I do have some concerns about their defense. These guys are allowing 25 points a game, and they're actually in the bottom 10 in the league in pass defense. When it comes to covering the point spread, KC failed to cover in 4 out of their last 5. Now they're facing a San Francisco defense who allows fewer yards a game than any other team in the league. When it comes to giving up points, well, the Niners are allowing only 14 points per contest. Now, total-wise, San Fran's 5-1 at the under this year. Meanwhile, Kansas City saw 3 out of their last 5 fall under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Niners +3.5, under 48. Next ball game, Seahawks at the Chargers, 425 Eastern start time. The LA Chargers are -6.5, totals 52. Now, I'll tell you what, the Chargers continue to sling the football. Justin Herbert's in the top 5 in total passing yards. He's going up against a porous Seattle defense who's allowing over 410 total yards per game. Now, the Seahawks also suffered losses this year to the likes of New Orleans, Atlanta, and San Francisco. When it comes to the number, 3 out of the Hawks' last 4 did get over the line. Well, the Chargers are 3-1 to the over in their last 4 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Chargers, -6.5, over 52. Next ball game, Steelers at the Dolphins, 8:20 p.m. East. Miami's -7, totals 44.5. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure Miami's playing good enough football right now to be laying this number here. I realize they're home right now. I realize the Steelers aren't that great. But this is a pretty good, pretty big number for a team who's not playing all that great. Miami lost their last 3 straight. They failed to cover in all 3 of those games. They also averaged just 16 points a game during that span. Now, they're facing a Steeler defense who's led by Minkah Fitzpatrick, who has 3 interceptions already, including a pick 6. Meanwhile, Miles Jack and Devin Bush, they've combined for nearly 100 tackles on the season already. When it comes to total, the Steelers saw 4 out of their last 6 stay under the number. Meanwhile, Miami went 3-1 to the under in their last 4. I'm going to lean toward Pittsburgh +7, under 44.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It is going to be Bears at the Patriots, Monday Night Football. New England's -7, totals 39. Now, the Pats have been real good here against the number lately. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. Covers against the likes of Cleveland, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh. They're also playing some pretty top-notch defense. They're allowing just 18 points a game. They're facing a Chicago offense on the other side who simply can't move the chains. The Bears are currently dead last in the league in passing. They're also averaging just 15 points per contest. And even though they have a pretty solid defense, the Bears are still allowing over 160 yards a game on the ground. Now, total-wise, Chicago's 4-2 to the under in their last 6. Meanwhile, New England saw unders against the likes of Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Miami. I'm going to lean toward the Patriots, -7, under 39. With that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. I like New Orleans +1.5, under 45. Giants +3, under 42.5. Carolina +10.5, under 41. Dallas -7, over 48.5. Cleveland +6.5, over 46. Atlanta +7, under 47. Indianapolis +3, under 42.5. Green Bay Packers -5.5, under 41. New York Jets +3, over 40.5. Las Vegas Raiders -7 under 45. San Francisco +3.5 under 48. LA Chargers -6.5 over 52. Pittsburgh +7 under 44.5. And with my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward the Patriots -7 under 39.